Brecel. Trump has had the better of the Belgian 4 of the 5 times they've met, but when they went head-to-head in the Champion of Champions in 2017, it was Brecel who was victorious. The winner will face Karen Wilson. Taking us through this one, Neil Folds and Phil Yates, but first, our MC, Phil Seymour.
Welcome back to the ManBet X Champion of Champions here at the Ricoh Arena in Coventry. This is the second semi-final in group number 3. It's the best of 7 frames, and it's time now to welcome the players. Introducing to you firstly the winner of the 2017 China Championship, the Belgian Bullet, Luca Brecel. And his opponent, a former winner of the UK Championship and World Grand Prix, the ace in the pack, Judd Trump.
Here we go then with match number 2 of day number 3 of the 2018 Champion of Champions. And I think one thing we can confidently predict, this is going to be swift snooker. It's the way they play the game, these two.
Thank you. The first frame, Judd Trump to break.
Another reason to think it's going to be swift. Every meeting between these two in the past has been one-sided. In fact, 4 of their 5 meetings have resulted in whitewashes. The new slimline Luca Brecel lost a lot of weight, trying to re-establish himself as a tournament-winning force.
Yes, no pun intended, but he has had a lean time of things, and I think I really like to see him get his game back. I like his style a lot, as I do the man at the table, Judd Trump. What a player. Well, it was a heavy contact into the bunch of reds there, and they can go anywhere over the hole, in this case in the hole. It can be a very dangerous way of playing a shot like that. This is dangerous too. What a shot. Goodness me. Doesn't feel guilty about a fluke, does he? And rightly so.
Well, over the course of a career, you have enough bad luck against you, so why should you feel aggrieved for your opponent if you get some good luck?
6.
Brecel would love to replicate what he did against Trump in the first round of this event 12 months ago. Not just that 4-0 win, but the way it was achieved. He won in less than an hour, making breaks of 105, 103 and 87.
12. One
thing about Luca Brecel 12 months ago, as you say, he was on a crest of a wave. He just won his first ranking event. He was buzzing, but since then it's not been quite so straightforward. Now he had cue problems, lots of them, and that can
20.
Drive a player up the wall, actually.
$21.
He's a very gifted snooker player. And he's still young. A game that is dominated by players in their 30s and some of them well into their 40s.
Yes, because he's been around such a lengthy while, you tend to forget he's only 23. Now, the negative there, he's hemmed in the
26.
black, but at least the balls are beautifully open.
27.
He's a bit of a chancy player. In other words, he went into them there. He didn't really overly think about the outcome, which means you can get good luck and bad luck if you're a player like that. Cue ball often just runs around the table a bit loose, but when everything clicks, he can really put together some quite scintillating snooker.
$33. $34.
There you see again, that was not with the most control you'll ever see. Maybe on the middle red,
40.
which may only just go. It's a little bit tight in there, all round. Red up the table to the left middle is obviously on, but he's more interested in this red. Can he get to it, and does it go? You tell me. There's an element of risk in this.
Tap. 41.
Got to play a recovery shot here through bulk. Seen a few players hit bulk colours this week on this different table. But not Luca, that was really nicely done. And that's the best shot he's hit.
46.
This is unlucky there. I know he got in off a fluke, so he has to remember that, but that shot, he played really well and he's over a ball. Almost.
$47.
Well, unless the arm is chanced, that's end of break. But he's taking on the black. Oh. No hesitation. No jaw. Hit. Right into the heart of the pocket.
Well, he's an unconventional player.
54.
Many a player, I think, with his lead, might have thought about not chancing his arm, as you were saying. It's not really how he thinks. That's why he's always nice to see and watch him play.
$55.
There were times, particularly towards the end of last season, when he was bereft of confidence. But that's clearly not the case now. It's the opposite.
That was a good shot, the way he struck that pink to the middle with the lovely cannon. It's a pretty eventful break.
61.
Started with a fluke. He's gone all round the houses.
62.
And he has been criticised for having a very good cue ball, but when you pop like he does, it doesn't quite matter so much, does it?
$68.
A small
69.
sample, yes, but right now this is exactly like the match last year.
Luca Brecel, 69 under frame.
Judd Trump concedes, needing 3 snookers, helped by an outrageous fluke, and then the 69 break that was forthcoming, and Luca Brecel leads 1-0.
Johnson's Trade Cleanable Mat, sponsors of Daytime on ITV4.
No one wants a boiler on the blink this winter. We're with you. At British Gas, we have over 6,000 engineers, in case you need one. All part of home care boiler cover from just 40p a day, with a boiler service and parts and labour included. And now, enjoy 1 month free when you buy selected home care products online by the 19th of November. Search British Gas Home Care.
SIM-only deals that are so good, you'll hardly believe your eyes. At Tesco Mobile, you can get an incredible SIM-only deal to suit you. Get 5 gigs for just £11, 15 gigs for £15, or a mammoth 25 gigs for just £20. Jaw-dropping deals for all. However you do Christmas, everyone's welcome at Tesco Mobile.
I knew my family had a connection to World War I, but finding my great-grandfather's name in the ancestry records led me to who he served with, the experiences they had, and the places they had them.
Simply type in a name to search Ancestry's collection of military records and discover your family's World War I story.
And now he's looking to double the advantage.
Yes, Judd Trump didn't think to play on and get a few shots. The table was very lively, and it's of course different table to what they're used to playing on, but he didn't want to play a few looseners, nothing. Looks like he's loose enough after that.
1.
He's long overdue, isn't he, to win something, Judd Trump. Still a leading player. But he's just, I don't know, run into 1 or 2 players in the top of their game recently, I think. I'm quite impressed with him in spells this season.
You're absolutely right with that. Particularly early in tournaments, he's blown away opponents. Looked absolutely in peak form, and then in just 1 match,
4.
not fired. And if you do that, of course, you're on the way home. Who would have thought this time last year, Neil, that in the intervening 12 months between that tournament and this, Judd would not have won a single trophy. He's qualified for this off the world rankings. He plays a full schedule, and so for him to go 12 months without lifting silverware, really unusual.
Well, that's not a very good kiss. He's got the
17.
red up the table. Whether he plays to the middle or the top left, I'm not sure actually. Most other kisses would have got him on an easier red than this.
Judd Trump, 17.
These two, of course, are not in it for having won anything in the last year, as we've been saying, but the fact is, you're only ranked as high as you are by winning something. In the case of Luca, he won the China Championship just over a year ago, and obviously, as Phil was saying, European Masters Judd won, so you're kind of only going to get ranked highly if you are a winner, albeit not that recently. The older players, the class of '92, had quite a stranglehold on last season and on the last year's play, didn't they? Since the last Champion of Champions.
Well, we had a string of tournaments. It's a really busy tournament schedule, and yet it produced only 12 winners. So consequently, the other 4 places in the tournament had to be filled off the rankings quite correctly, and Brecel and Trump were 2 of the beneficiaries.
He's looking at this plant now. If the 2 reds are touching, then he's got a chance of straightening this up. The kind of angle it is, it's top jaw. It might straighten. Yeah. If you call it what we call a reverse plant, that one. It's being close together, it almost goes in the opposite direction to if there's a gap between the 2 balls. Goodness, what a place to finish. With the red over the hole. Oh, he's a wonderful potter, but he's going to have to dig one out here. This long red, he's going to have to go for it. It's not beyond him to get it, but he's forced into it now, surely. Let's see if the Belgian bullet has still got what it takes. I've seen him knock these in. Wow, what a fantastic shot.
6.
And this is the kind of shot that, when he's in full flow, makes him such an intimidating player.
He's playing up the table here. It's surprising that he played it that way, but I know why. He wanted to block the pocket and he missed it.
Luca Brecel 6.
I'm surprised he was thinking about missing them after the previous shot. But you can't really say it's a bad way of playing the shot. You either pop the brown and continue the break, or you leave nothing.
Well, the cue ball nowhere near returning to balk, but that doesn't mean to say it's not awkward. Spider needed. Yesterday afternoon in the John Higgins-Ryan Day match, we had 2 consecutive shots where the Spider was required. That's unusual. Always difficult to use these things.
He's got to watch he doesn't pop the brown here. If he's playing safe off that red by the pink, the red's kind of going towards the right-hand corner. I don't know what else he can do. He's got to play off it.
Wow.
That was always the problem. It was not the initial red, but everything was heading over towards that brown ball.
To Trump 4.
He actually got a good shape on the cue ball, but it's no good if you end up playing a foul. Just can't get started at the moment, Judd Trump. know that he is happy to play shots where his cue ball is not under control. Chipping this red in the middle. I don't think he's got any idea where the cue ball's going to finish, but he'll take his chances.
Well, if he's got away with that, he's almost as lucky as when he fluked the initial red in the first frame.
It's kind of what I was saying, Phil. He's got a game that's conducive to being really unlucky or really lucky, because he does take risks.
Well, fortunate again. Limited options for Trump there, but at least the one option he had, it was an obvious return to the safety of bulk.
Yeah. Another shot you had no clue about, to be honest. You get the feeling Judd Trump might be getting a tiny bit frustrated. That's a clever shot. That's exactly what he meant, getting the cue ball at one end and the red at the other by those two bulk colours.
Well, this time, two pots have been left, but both of them are quite tricky. Even though this red is close to the pocket, it has to be cued well. Cracking shot. Superb.
One.
I think the word superb applied to Trump's performance in their most recent encounter, these two. It was in the first round of the Romanian Masters in Bucharest. Towards the end of last season, Trump was inspired that day, won 4-0 in no time, made a couple of centuries, 2 more half-centuries. And that's the kind of thing he can do. When he's at his best, he looks an absolute world-beater. Given his skill, his scoring power, Neil, the way he pots, the way he thinks about the game, he really should have won more by now.
Yes, he's been around a long time though, Phil, and there is going to come the point in his career where he's going to have to change his game a little bit. At the moment he's all out scoring game, but as any player matures, they have to rein it in. Some of the long pots don't go in, and you have to become a little bit more streetwise. It's just the way it is. And he's at the point where he's going to have to make decisions like that soon. He's going to win a world championship. There's got to be more to his game than there is now.
10.
I think we all concur, all fully agree that when he's in full flow, he's an absolutely wonderful sight to see.
$17.
I think the most
18.
fulsome compliment you can give him is that his best is right up there with anyone else's.
Yes, I completely agree. But it comes down to what you like, what sort of standard you never go
25.
below. Because the good days kind of speak for themselves, don't they?
Okay.
They organise themselves.
26.
You sometimes have to get through sessions of snooker where you're playing at 75% of your game. He's got to prove that he can still do that. Nothing would please me more than seeing him become world champion. It's a very nice cannon.
33.
He's been patient in this match so far. Luca Brecel has made a couple of mistakes which have gone unpunished.
34.
Trump is just finding his feet. But he should remember that really this is his frame ball. Played to the scoreboard, nothing flashed, that's the right shot. He needs his frame.
41.
£51 points
That's right,
on the
41.
table. 56 divides the two players, and so a couple of snookers required by Luca Brecel.
Foul.
Make that 3.
So trump 4.
Yes, looking a lot like 1-1, and I think this is brewing up into a pretty good game of snooker between these two.
Now that's one of the cardinal sins down at the old snooker hall. If you played a shot like that, the old timers would tut tut tut. Don't take a cue ball close to a pocket if you haven't got to. The Trump's lead here is so substantial it would be hard to imagine losing the frame, but you never know. A snooker and a free ball could turn things around really quickly.
It's Brecel at the table is the man who needs the snookers, not him.
All doubt about the frame now very much removed. And when Trump has won a frame by a mile, this is the point I really like when he starts to play these extraordinary exhibition shots.
Judd Trump
just treated to the single blue this time. But he's done the main thing, which was to get back onto level terms. Judd Trump 1, Luca Brecel 1. Everyone to the Ricoh Arena, the home of Coventry City Football Club and also Wasps. Let's hope there's going to be a sting in the tail of this match. Judd Trump against Luca Brecel at the moment, honours even. 1-1. Okay. Brecel making a 69 break to win the first frame from a fluke.
Thank you, frame 3.
Trump keeping his patience early on in the second frame, and it was eventually rewarded with a break of 41 to seal it.
Well, I think he believed that the cue ball would head back up the table if he got close to the pot, but there was a double kiss. As we would say, the dreaded double kiss.
1.
He didn't play it that badly, just that the red came back, hit the cue ball, and you saw the rest. He lost control.
Eight. 9.
Now this is where Trump really
16.
excels. Fantastic
17.
scorer. Last season he made 74 centuries in professional competition. That really is a terrific number. And looking for a mini milestone this afternoon, if he makes one, that would be his 550th in professional competition. Being delayed here somewhat as Paul Collier looks to see where the pink needs to be replaced on the table. It won't go on its own spot. All of the other spots are taken.
Yes, and while he's doing that, just thinking about that, you know, he could get to 1,000 himself over a career, couldn't he? Judd, quite easily. You know, Sullivan is not a million miles away. It's probably going to happen at some point later in this season. But you know, Judd is a lot younger and he should be around a long time.
Yeah, so Sullivan's 43. Trump celebrated his 29th birthday in August. So I'm with you entirely there. He's going to get into 4 figures for centuries.
Well, this is a nightmare, isn't it, for Paul Collier? I mean, look where he's got to put that. He's having an absolute nightmare. He's doing a great job, by the way. I mean, who wants to put that in there? He deserves a round of applause.
23. No.
Certain referees are okay. Some are good, some are very good. Paul Collier is absolutely elite. The youngest referee ever to officiate in a World Championship final.
It's all that good work. Admire it now, Paul Collier, because these reds are going to go everywhere after this shot. It was good while it lasted. Played it pretty well, you know. And he's on one.
29.
be on another red actually, but he's certainly got the one to the left corner, the one that just came out there. That one that he's close to will pot, but it might not be that easy to get away from the other reds and get onto the black, I guess he's looking at.
Sure.
It's a safe option to play the other one on the left of the table, because he can pop this one the next time he gets down this end of the table from his colour.
Trump knows he's 1 or 2 positional shots away from being in a frame-winning position.
Cheers. 30. $35. $36.
Well, that's not good. It wasn't the cannon he was
43.
hoping for. Seeing it again, I think he played hit the first red full ball. I don't know if he can put anything here. The red that he's closest to might be the very thinnest of cuts. Had no control over the cue ball, but it's a really well played shot in the end. Look how thin it is.
Just struggled in off the jaw. Oh, well cued. Well cued.
$49. $50.
Yes, there is a similarity between these two players. Trump has, of course, achieved a lot more. He's a former UK champion, world finalist. But they both chance their arm, take risks, pot everything. Very rarely dull to watch.
57. $58.
An encouraging start, but now increasingly
63.
worrying times.
$64.
Frame ball coming up.
$70. $71.
The gap didn't seem there.
78. $79.
Yes, he can only just get to the bottom one, actually. And all the reds go over to the left. Anywhere down the right side with the cue ball, and he's in business.
$82. $83. $89. $90.
And that's the sharp break builder he is, purposely leaving the angle on the penultimate red to develop the last red.
$93.
That's a shame.
Judd Trump, 93
Deprived
on the
of a
frame.
century, but Judd Trump, in making that 93 break, looked really impressive. He's in front at 2-1. Wilson, who defeated the reigning world champion Mark Williams 4-1 earlier this afternoon. Trump's in the ascendancy here, but only by a single frame.
Yes, and Luke has done that break-off where the red just drifts up the table, which is no good to him. That happens quite a lot, you know. I've noticed it quite a bit this week.
One.
The bottom red just goes up and down. And the break-off's meant to be an advantage, but when that happens, it's a disadvantage. You can let your opponent straight in.
Four. Five.
The last thing that Brecel wants to do is allow Trump to get on any kind of sustained roll. Brecel knows from bitter personal experience that when Trump gets going, he can be unstoppable. I mentioned that match in the Romanian Masters last season. Last year, in the Shanghai Masters, Trump beat Brecel 5-0 in the quarterfinals, making breaks of 114, 92, 87, 66.
11.
Well, he's very capable of swamping any player, isn't he, when he's on song. It's pretty devastating, and it happens all very, very quickly as well. 93 break. The frame didn't last 10 minutes.
17. $18.
Just feel he's winding up a bit here and finding a little bit of rhythm. Can always play on the loose red, but he's eyeing up the chance of going into the bunch. He has an angle on the blue to do it. Now, has he seen a plant of some kind there? He was only looking at something. Didn't play it well, to be honest. He nearly missed the bunch. When you see it, the cue ball really arced, and then he caught the edge. That was not a good shot by his high standards.
Judd Trump, 23.
That wasn't the best either. Just barely reaching the baulk line.
I think it will go past the brown. There's not a lot of room, I have to say. Just played it to top the red and disappear up the table. Didn't think about getting on a colour at all.
Bramble. To trump 1.
The walls are reasonably open here. A mistake could be costly. Or that kind of thing would pay rich dividends.
Yes, didn't put his hand up here, but I'd be surprised if he knew that that would even pop that red. Thread it through quite a few balls to that left corner. No, he's got to tickle in behind a colour here. Got to play it well if he does play it.
Earlier on today, Karen Wilson showed a very delicate touch in nestling in behind the green. On these fast cloths, this kind of shot needs some judgment.
Played it well. Yeah, there's almost an element of when you play it, almost heart stops for a split second thinking you haven't reached. That usually means you have reached. They're so quick.
That particular shot is one kind of shot that's easier the slower the cloth. Brecel in a spot of bother.
Yes, because there's no red near a cushion he can lay up against either. So he either looks to play some kind of glancing two-cushion escape to get the cue ball back up the table, or he decides to go hit and hope, which I've seen players do. There's more to it than that. Because if you can't see a shot, you might as well chance your arm and if you can knock something in from somewhere.
The great exponent of that philosophy is Stephen Maguire.
Well, it's been unlucky. He hasn't played it that badly, but unfortunately he called it just a fraction too thick. And he's left a red. Well, as you saw, he was stretching, and the corner of the table was digging into his ribs almost. And he only played it in such a way to run through on the black, which means that he wasn't taking it at any speed, and he always fancied he would get it. I said earlier in the week that these matches best of 7 to get you into group final or what is a quarter final, you get into a best of 11, which is a totally different game of snooker.
9.
It feels like a sprint, but there's an awful lot up for grabs if you can win this match.
$15. 16.
Now that one struggled in, didn't it? Right behind the line of it. Not clean.
22.
And
23.
sometimes when you do that, it's actually a good thing because it wakes you up, makes you concentrate entirely properly.
$29. 30.
That's over 200 points with that reply now for Trump. And the tally is increasing all the time.
37. 38.
Yes, I said earlier on, he's way overdue to win something. And you wouldn't say that about everybody because players don't win for a while.
44.
Sometimes you think, well, they're just not going to win again. One thing you can be sure of is Judd Trump is going to win tournaments again. It's been over a year since he last lifted a trophy. It's not going to be much longer, I don't think. He's doing all the right things.
52.
He's got his brother Jack coming around
53.
basically to him, all around tournaments with him all around the world. Formerly a decent player himself, so he's practicing.
60.
Doing all the good things. And starting to play well, I think.
61.
I think Trump's in the same category as Mark Allen. We all knew that he was going to win sooner rather than later. He did last week in Daqing in China, the International Championship. We'll see him tomorrow. And Trump is
68.
so full of skill. You can't keep a man like him down.
Great shot to get on the yellow, wasn't it, man? 5 cushions. Almost lost count of how many cushions.
73.
A terrific performance so far.
Good Trump 73 on the frame.
It really is one-way traffic. Trump in top gear. Luca Brecel's only scored 6 points in the last 3 frames. Trump leads 3-1. Judd Trump in full flow is a sight to behold, and he's been in full flow the last 3 frames.
Frame 5. Judd Trump to break.
Trump needs 1 more frame to sprint into the quarterfinals. And currently, the left-hander from Bristol is on a run of 246 unanswered points.
Call that safety shot too thin. Always a worry. Cue ball in and out of baulk, but he's not left anything. That's a good safety shot, you know. Judd's played there. Sometimes they go a little unnoticed. The defensive shots, but if anything, it's a positive safety shot, which has put Luca Brecel in trouble and opened up the Reds. Good comeback. Might have left a red on, but he's played it. It's about 4 inches short of absolutely nailing him to the vault cushion. I think Judd can get to the right hand red. Yeah, he can. He wouldn't have really deserved being off, but as it happens, he's been a little fortunate in the way it's worked out. Drop it in, red over the green hole. could be away again here, Phil.
Yes, one of those instances there where, had the cue ball gone in, as you say, Neil, it would have been
6.
horrible for him. But it's worked out a treat in the end. And as we've said before, when this man's in a groove, he can be devastating.
Yes, devastating and pretty rapid as well.
7.
3 of the 4 frames have been won in under 12 minutes. One of them was won by Luca Brecel. 1 19-minute frame. Everything else has been, well, not quite blink and you'll miss it, but really fluent stuff.
12.
He's played his part.
But
he's done a lot of sitting down in the last 2 and a bit frames. As you say, the point tally against him is mounting, Phil.
And when the top players get on top in a match and they get a chance like this to finish it off, it's a point of pride that they do so. They don't want to limp over the line, stumble over it. They want to win in style and take that positive
19.
vibe into this evening.
20. That's it now.
Well, it's some kind of a creature came down there, and it's the only way you can stop him at the moment.
$25.
Referee Paul Collier's got many tasks. One is to dispose of insects. I don't think that was in his sort of refereeing manual, actually, when he started to do it for a living.
26.
He's hit that well, hasn't he? Played it right-handed. He's absolutely perfectly on the blue. Makes the world of difference. Get that shot right all the time.
Sure. 31.
Needs the extension on his cue, needs cue power, but for Judd Trump, that is no problem. Although in this case, he doesn't quite get a hold of the cue
32.
ball as well as is normally the case. One good thing, at least he's got the reverse angle to easily go in and out of bulk.
In some cases you might say Brecel, but I think he's going to try to pop this right-hand red. Not quite where the cue ball and the red below it are going to go, I'm not sure. Bit of a hit and hope, that, to be honest.
Judd
Yes,
Trump,
and he was
37.
scratching so awkwardly, must have been off balance. His alignment might well have been all over the place. That was asking an awful lot. So it appears as though Judd Trump's points with that reply tally is about to come to a screeching end.
Yeah, it's 41 minutes since Luca Brecel last potted the ball. Surely, as you say, that'll end here. Feels a long time, doesn't it, when you're sitting out? I've been there. Your opponent's pulling all the balls, and all you can do is sit and watch, and you're pretty helpless most of the time.
Yes, and the 41 minutes is actually total playing time. It doesn't incorporate a few minutes in between frames, so he's been kept cold for even longer than 41 minutes.
Thank you. 1.
Well done. Can't be missable after such a long time away from the
6.
table. Now, the match could still have some mileage in it, especially if you can score a few here.
7.
There's no reason why he shouldn't get right back into the frame or beyond.
$12. 13.
I'm not sure it could be that he actually played to flick the red away from the pink spot, because the black would have been tied up behind its own spot had he not done that. That's quite good thinking. No spots were available at the time. Well, he potted a good blue
21.
earlier in this break into that pocket. This one is even tougher, I think. This is the kind of shot players will practice, but well, you can miss them.
Especially when there's a little demon in the back of the mind saying, if you miss this, it could be your last shot.
Cheers. 1.
Just one awkward red on the table for Trump, who will be in no rush whatsoever to remove the pink from the side cushion. That's his insurance policy, his safety net.
Yes, and the awkward red, by the time he needs to face it, I think the frame and match could well be over. Got a 22-point lead. I think 3 reds with highish colours, and he's managed to get over the line. He's got to finish the job off now.
14. 15.
He was on the wrong end of a 4-0 defeat in this very round, this very venue 12 months ago at the hands of Brecel. Nice little Spot of revenge here if he finishes it. Black will now go back on its own spot, so that's handy. And here's match ball.
22.
Almost there.
I think he'll be pleased with this win. He's played pretty well. He's looked dangerous. I think that's the key. And there are very few more
27.
dangerous and entertaining players in the game. A couple of snookers required for Luca Brecel. But that is end of match.
28.
And so this evening we've got the, well, rare prospect these days of two top-level players in their 20s going head-to-head. It's Trump against Wilson.
$35.
He's not been flawless, Trump, but he's not made too many mistakes.
$37.
No one's better at these
40.
end-of-frame exhibition heroics. And then he does that. We'll let you off, John. We let you off. Well, Luca Brecel has been well and truly trumped. Judd is through by 4 frames to 1.
Of the wasp, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I've calmed down a little bit now.
I tell you, nobody was more worried than Stephen Hendry, who hates them. Listen, well done today. A kind of frustrating, I suppose, season for you so far, but it feels as though it's been bubbling under. There was a good performance just waiting to come out.
Yeah, I think I've played quite well for the most of it, really, and then just sort of as I've got to the quarter-final stage or last 16, just kind of let my foot off the gas and someone's played well against me or the balls haven't quite run and I've ended up losing. So I think I've put in a lot of work on the practice table. It's just not quite come out yet.
You've got to be patient in the way the game is now with the amount of good players around, isn't it? I've been watching you. You have been playing well, but sometimes things don't. Whether it's a little run of the ball or someone buzzes or whatever, you've got to stay patient, though, haven't you?
Yeah, I think there is so many good players, and I think last week Mark Allen was absolutely flying. And then you've got Ronnie flying in another tournament, and there's so many. It's coming from all angles now. There's so many top players. So I think obviously in a dream world I'd be winning 4 or 5 tournaments a year. But I think as long as I just keep working, I think I'm working harder now than I ever have done. So I think now it's kind of sunk in. I've had my enjoyment off the table, and now hopefully from 29 to 45 or whatever, I can have my peak years.
It'd be a good part of the season to hit form, I was going to say, because this one, obviously the UK coming up, the Masters in January, it'd be a good time to hit form.
Yeah, I think it's obviously nice to be playing back in the UK as well. I think when you're playing in China, you can have things affect you rather than just your practice or stuff like that. When you're struggling to eat and stuff like that, you're a bit tired. So at least back home now, coming into a bit of form, and there's no excuses when you're playing back in the UK.
When you look at the draw and you see Judd Trump against Luca Brecel, you know it's going to be a kind of exciting, risk-taking kind of match, and there was plenty to enjoy in it, wasn't there, Stephen?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, obviously the start you had with losing the first frame. I mean, in the end it was quite comfortable, but you must have been a bit, especially with the couple of run of the balls as well.
I actually thought that shot got you going because you had to force a little angle, didn't you?
Yeah.
It's a better shot than people would understand, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I hit that quite well actually. Yeah, and then. Yeah, after I won that frame, it settled me down a little bit because obviously
this is going to be my hot shot for the day. We get to pick a hot shot every day, and this is going to be my one.
Oh, I knew I was going to miss the red after that. I knew it.
Slow table, never made them. And in frame 3, and at this point, I think Judd started just getting a grip of the match, didn't you? you're starting to really dominate, Luca.
I started to feel quite good. Yeah, the table was playing nice. That was a tricky cut which went in, and I kind of sort of sped up, got a bit of momentum after that. I potted a nice blue next shot, which kind of, if I missed that, I could be 2-1 down.
How did you find the table,
I
generally?
found the table pretty good, actually, yeah, a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
You played that, didn't you?
Yeah. That's from watching you last week.
No. And he enjoys the exhibition shots, as always, Jill, doesn't he, Judd?
92 cushions.
Yeah, 18 cushions round for the yellow again. What about tonight's match against Kyron? Because it's going to be a different ball game, isn't it? Because Luca doesn't sort of trouble you. He troubles you in a different way, doesn't he?
I think I played him last year and he beat me 4-0, and then he fluked one and then made a bit of a ridiculous break in the first frame again. I was thinking, oh, not again. I think Kyron, he's a lot more steady. He doesn't really make as many mistakes.
Is it more difficult, do you think, maybe to get into a flow against Kyron?
Yeah,
the way he plays.
Definitely. I think unless you're getting in early in the start of every frame, it can be quite slow and quite tactical, and is hard to get a rhythm. You're going to go long periods of time without potting.
You've played him a few times. It's pretty even Stevens, but in recent times he's had the better of you. I think Shanghai Masters this season and Romanian Masters. Is that something that sits in your mind?
No, I think the Masters obviously should have won. I think Shanghai wasn't really playing then, so I think it's going to be a completely different ball game tonight.
Good stuff. Listen, we look forward to seeing that. Well done. Let's just hear now then from his opponent tonight, Kyron Wilson, after his win.
Kyron, it's your coach's birthday today. Barry's 76 years of age. That was a perfect present, beating the world champion.
Yeah, he'd never have forgiven me if I'd have lost. It just saves me a few quid now. I can say I've given you a present by winning. So, yeah, pleased to obviously get the win for his birthday.
You've got a fantastic record against Mark. 4 wins out of 4 now. I believe you've won 20 frames in those matches and he's just won 7.
Yeah, I didn't know that stat. I obviously knew that I've won all 4 of our meetings. Yeah, it's just, you get up for playing the big players and he's one of the big players. So it's a fantastic arena and, the juices get flowing before you go out and, it all adds to the performance for me.
A little unusual this, though, because now you've won 1 match and you've got to try and win another this evening. Different distance, different opponent.
Yeah, I'm debating going home, to be honest. I'm that close. So, yeah, obviously now it's a best of 11. It's a bit more enjoyable, I suppose. The best of 7s are quite tough, but obviously you've got the first one out of the way and you're into the final of the night. So, for me, very, very enjoyable to play in that sort of match.
And finally, what does it actually mean to be involved in a tournament of this prestige up against all of the very best in the business?
Oh, it means everything. It's just showing you that you're up there and you're playing well with all the top dogs, and you're more or less here by winning a tournament. So I've managed to win 2, and I've fully earned my place here.
You certainly did well starting off.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, Kyron, after his win over Mark Williams, obviously Luca Brecel in the background there. That was obviously before they played. But great to see him there and a good win for Kyron. What do you make of Judd Trump today?
As I say, I thought it was comfortable in the end. He wasn't at his brilliant best, just scoring, century break after century break. But in a best of 7, it's just about getting the result and then get yourself into the final tonight. It's such a short match. I don't think you can go into the match thinking, oh, I hope I play well, I hope I play perfect snooker. Just get the result. And do you think you can take on Kyron tonight? I know you fancied Kyron for this group all day, really.
Yeah, myself and Foldsy had a suspicion about Kyron, but the one thing that Judd does have that's is a priceless commodity in snooker, he scores well all the time. It's like when he's in close, he just scores. He may not play well with the long game, that'll fluctuate in terms of how well he plays, but if he scores well, which he always does, it's a great weapon to have. It's whether he can get in, as he said early tonight, I think, in frames, and I think best of 11 as well will help Judd to settle. That'll be important.
One of the things, Stephen, that Alan was picking out about Kyron's game is his cue ball control. Is that something that has concerned you?
I agree totally. I think it is a weakness of his. I remember thinking when he lost in the final of the Masters to Mark Allen, last year, and that was the difference between the two players. Mark Allen's got tremendous cue ball control. Karen Wilson's, he's a tremendous potter, but he spends too many times having to rescue himself with long pots, and you can't keep doing that. So it's something that, especially this table, is so fast as well. So if you're losing the cue ball, you're going to get in trouble a lot. So it's something that he needs to address.
And he's somebody that's had a couple of wins this season. Judd Trump is overdue a win, isn't he?
Very much so, and I think he will win before the season's out. There's no question about it. Where he wins, we don't know. Obviously, it might be this week, but he definitely will win. He's just, as he scores consistently well, regardless of how he's feeling or how he's playing. He'll always score. It's just whether he can get the chances at the right stage. The dominoes or the cards have just got to fall in the correct place. And
the problem that Judd's got is he's such a great player to watch, an inspirational player, that other players enjoy playing them, so they raise their game. So a lot of times he's coming up in the tournaments against people they're playing out their skin against him, and you get players like that. I mean, Jimmy White used to be like that. People that he used to lose a lot of matches because players would raise their game. They just looked forward to playing him.
Well, another player like that certainly is Ronnie O'Sullivan. We saw him in action last night. He had a great win over his old mate John Higgins to make it through to Friday night's semi-final, and afterwards, always the entertainer, popped in and had a few words with us in the studio.